One of the biggest music shows in America is coming to town. It's called NAMM. If you don't know me, I'm Game from BusyWorks Beats.com. We trained over 1 million producers around the world. Some are going to work with Drake, Kanye West, Post Malone, Ariana Grande, French Montana, Young Thug, Polo G, Trippie Redd, Lil Baby, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, a long list of folks. I've even worked with the top audio brands, billion-dollar brands like Avid, for example, Sweetwater. We've worked with Razer Music multiple years, and if you're in Web3, there was a protocol called Near. And we've also worked with Universal Audio, the top of the line, Arturia, Image Line, Isotope, Native Instruments, Akai, Serato, etc., etc. So this video is going to be for people who want to understand what is NAMM if you've never been, people who have gone to NAMM, should they reconsider going to NAMM this year, and people who are going, what should you do to look out for this NAMM? So again, I have this experience. I'm not speaking from blindness here. I think it was 2018. I forget what year it was, 2018. I was doing public speaking on the NAMM stage for Universal Audio, which is pretty much like one of the biggest stages you can perform at NAMM. And I did a talk about lo-fi chain. Shout out to MG the Future, for some of those tips. So what we're going to do today, again, is explain the reality of NAMM. What is NAMM? Like, what is NAMM? It's basically this huge conference center in Anaheim. You know how, like, if you guys ever went to Atlanta, there's that huge conference center that people go to. They fly into Atlanta just to go to conferences. So the same thing with Anaheim. You don't realize why Anaheim. You're like, why Anaheim? It's because they have Disneyland pretty close by, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's like a theme park nearby. Because on the main street, you'll see hundreds of people walking down the sidewalk. And that's because they already have a tourist attraction for the area. So firstly, if you've never gone to NAMM, let's focus on you. Okay, so what is NAMM? You basically go there to be around tens of thousands of people. I've never been there since the pandemic, but I assume it's still tens of thousands of people, like a lot of people just walking around constantly, okay, at this huge convention center with multiple areas. Now, I think a lot of people kind of glamorize NAMM from a consumer perspective. They think that it's going to just be this experience as if it's like a Comic-Con. But I want you guys to understand that what you're going to realize is that there's really one area to attend in NAMM. It's like this one big center. You do one big circle, and once you're done the circle, you're kind of out of stuff. On the right side, you have Pro Tools, and then, some of the digital dolls, and then you move over, you have some outboard gear, like Dangerous Audio or, whoever else. And you have Isotope and all them, and then you have Universal Audio was in the back. And then you kind of circle around, and then you have Arturia, and then you have some other companies you might not know of, some mic companies, and you circle, and then you get into the rock section, which is like guitars and all this other stuff that you probably don't mess with as a music producer. Then you get into the amp section, the lighting section, the show section where they have like steams and all this type of stuff, which is kind of cool for pictures. And then you come back around and you loop back to the Pro Tools section, and you're like, dang, that's NAMM. I just walked through the entirety of NAMM in one circle. It's not to discredit what NAMM is. So as a first-time person, if you're going to NAMM, I'd recommend this only for people who want to get into the content creation space, because it's great for meeting people in the content creation space, because you can't email your way into opportunity. You can, metaphorically, but there's a difference between meeting people in person than just cold emailing them or texting them or trying to DM them. There's a different connectivity you get when you meet that person in person. Okay, so even if you reached out over email, like trying to reach out to a company and get a sponsorship or become an affiliate for a company, try to go to NAMM with the mindset that you're going to be a friendly person to these people, not being fake, but like when you meet people, give them a hug, like cheer them up. They're just standing around all day waiting for people to come up to their booth. You want to engage with these people to show them that they're valued, okay? And not as not as like a fake way of doing it, like as a real, like, hey, what's up? I'm X, Y, and Z content creator. I do this, and I would love to team up with your company because I have these ideas, and I think that this is part of the underserved market. Okay, and that's how you guys can start to build relationships in this space. We work with all the top audio companies in this space. I could tell you that the greatest tool is simply meeting people in person. Like when I met Jeff Manchester in person from Isotope, it was just different. Like, shout out to Jeff Manchester. When I met, who else did I meet in person? That was, there's a couple of people from Isotope I met in person. And some of the agencies people I met in person. But when you have that in-person banter, it just does something. It's like you're on the same team at that point, and you're working to help each other, as opposed to just a company trying to use a content creator. So If you're a content creator, I would highly recommend, if this is your first time going to NAMM, that you go with the mission of meeting people from the company who can actually move the needle, okay? And just focus on them, okay? There's a lot of visuals, and yeah, you could do video, but is it really going to be valuable to show people that you're walking around and just showing people stuff randomly? Maybe, maybe not. You know, we've done content for NAMM. It's not like a viral content thing, okay? Now, the other thing you want to go to NAMM with, in my opinion, is to link up with other content creators. This is an awesome opportunity because you guys have to realize some people have families, some people have just no reason to leave the house. So the only real reason, the only real way to get people who are powerful or people who are influential out the house is to bring them all to one place where everybody will be at one time. It's really hard to be like, hey, come to my seminar in Boston. You know, when you're not getting paid, you have to pay for your own hotel and you have to travel and waste time. But when you say, hey, everybody's going to be at NAMM, pull up, we're all going to be here, this person, that person, this person, that person, we can all kind of mingle, create our own bond, then it's worth somebody flying out from their hometown out to NAMM. So again, if you're a beginner content creator, this is a great place to be because you want to get hands-on with folks, period. That should be your goal. Now, if you're just a consumer and you want to just be around stuff, you know, by all means, I don't know the way to get tickets for NAMM. I don't know if it's public or not, but, you know, do your thing. Do your vlog or whatever. Do your thing. I've never gone to watch performances. I always went there to do business, and that's really the only intent. Because you'll be easily wasting the day doing nothing if you just kind of walk around and just watch stuff all day long. Now, for the people who have gone to NAMM, here's what I would recommend. If you've already gone to NAMM, really can ask yourself, what are you going to get out of NAMM this time that you didn't get out of NAMM last time? I'm not here to dissuade people, if that's even a word, from going to NAMM. My goal is to really help you guys focus on the biggest levers in your business and your life, really. So the question becomes, do you go back to NAMM? Like, the question is, have you done these things? Like, the first time I went to NAMM, and the only time, was when I performed for Universal Audio, shout out to them, when I met all of the key influential people in those companies, Arturia, ImageLine. Actually, ImageLine had a representative, but Isotope, who else? UAD, I already said that. Just all the companies that we work with, Pro Tools and them. And then, okay, so I've already performed there. I've already been on one of the biggest stages. I've already met the people. I've already seen what's to be seen. I've already done the, link up with content creators to kind of build a bond. So what else is there really to do? For me. Okay, so if you haven't accomplished those three things, maybe you want to accomplish one of the other parts of that equation. But, just really ask yourself, what is the purpose? But at the same time, we have to say, okay, companies are flying in from different countries. Like they're flying in from Germany, Belgium, these really long flights and a lot of money invested. It is not cheap to get a booth at NAMM. It is not cheap at all. Just so you guys understand the magnitude, like one booth at NAMM could be like 10K, 20K. Like a big space can be 100K. It's pretty insane, the prices to get, to create a display at NAMM. So it's not a cheap place for developers and for these companies to be. So when they go there, what is their intent of being there? Their intent is like to get the most out of it. So they're looking for you guys to engage the same way you're looking to engage with them. So it makes it a mutual respectful environment. And I just want you guys to understand, with that much money spent, what is the goal of a company going to NAMM for the most part? They're trying to schmooze and network with the people who own the retailers, the Sweetwaters, the Guitar Centers, the, whoever, the Vintage Kings, or whoever the distributor is. They're trying to get people to order in mass from their company, or sell their software in their storefront. So understand, like, that's the time. That's the reason why these companies are coming to NAMM. It's not because they want you to pull up to the booth. It's because they want to do business with the big dogs, and they're trying to make an imprint. So just understand that the companies have an intent. You should have an intent going to NAMM. If you live in the LA area, here's a caveat. So I'll say, like, even if you've gone to NAMM before, you've never gone, or you've gone once or whatever, you've gone multiple times. If you live in the LA area, yeah, of course, it's down the street. Like, Anaheim's not very far from Los Angeles. So if you can make it there with a vehicle of some sort or an Uber without it being too expensive, of course, go to NAMM. But everybody else who's not on the West Coast, you really have to ask yourself, like, what is the purpose of you going? And I'm not here to dissuade anybody from NAMM because I love the culture there. It's very inspiring, actually. Here's one kind of takeaway that I took away from going to NAMM. is that I'm out of breath because I was trying to handle all the stuff behind the scenes. But you realize like how big the music industry actually is. You'll be walking around, for example, you'll see all these little guardrail things, and you're like, okay, somebody made those guardrails. Then you'll walk around and see their security. Then you're like, somebody's getting paid for security. Then you'll walk around and you'll see one of those cases that go over those cables that cross the street so cars can go over it or people can walk over it, those little shell cases for cables. You're like, somebody made the casing for the cables, because at concerts you need a huge stage of these long cables. Somebody made the cables, somebody made the cable covers, somebody made the stage, somebody gets paid to put the stage together, somebody controls the mixer, somebody is coming, here to perform. People are watching the performance, somebody's selling the drinks near the performance, somebody's making the food. You realize like how much money is around music, and that is inspiring. That's the one intangible you can't really put on paper when you go to NAMM. You start to be like, wow, there is a ton of there's a ton of money in this music space because there's so many problems being solved. You see, this software does this with AI. This microphone does this, special thing. There's people setting up booths to, demonstrate their microphones. Like there's all these little things that you see. And you're like, wow, music is not even just about like FL Studio. It's about all this other stuff that makes this, merry-go-round go round. So that's what you will walk away with, is inspiration to say, wow, music is not small. And, another part of that is that you have tens of thousands of people coming to NAMM. Tens of thousands. And they're interested in all the stuff in NAMM. It's not just like they're on one side of NAMM. They're all over the place. And it really opens your mind to be like, okay, music is something that's valuable. It really reinforces that for yourself. So if you're close to NAMM or Anaheim, if you just want to be inspired, I'd recommend you walk around the entirety of NAMM to really see. There's hotels that benefit from you guys staying at NAMM. There's police that get hired temporarily to guard from NAMM. I can go on and on and on about all the jobs just created for NAMM. And that's around music, our love for music. So always remember, like, music creates commerce and commerce drives the world. So we always have to remind ourselves, like, we are at the root of culture and culture moves commerce. And, for the person who's gone to NAMM year after year after year, you kind of, hopefully you probably got the gist from this talk, is just, I would reconsider, especially if you're on the other side of the coast like me. I'm not on the West Coast right now. So me flying all the way to the West Coast for 6 hours, staying in a hotel for probably 3 days, and I'm not invited to public speak, and I'm not being paid to public speak in this case. I've already met all the people in the space, whether, in person or virtually. We're pretty much tied. Shout out to everybody who's a content creator in the music producer space or the audio space in general. And then you ask yourself, okay, what am I going to do for multiple days? I'm taking off of business, which is, people don't understand time cost. Like, I'll be short about this because I already kind of covered the main points, but we have to remember, us taking off 3 days is you losing out on 3 days revenue, unless you have a business system or you pre-recorded content, to actually go to NAMM. That means you're taking off time. So you're multiplying that, whatever you make per day, times 3. That's the real cost of NAMM. 3 days worth of work and value, plus, the cost of a hotel, plus, whatever it costs you to get into NAMM. Because sometimes, the only way I've gotten into NAMM is from a company inviting me. So I don't know how to like buy your way into NAMM. I don't even know if that's possible to buy a ticket, and you got to think about food too. Okay. So that's all I had to say. I'm not going to make this video like 10,000 years long, but shout out to everybody going to NAMM this year. Shout out to all the companies showing up to NAMM. Shout out to the content creators putting in work, trying to make connections here at NAMM. I just think, NAMM is awesome for what it is. I just feel like it needs something. There needs to be like a new age of something, but I don't know what that is. Hopefully we'll interview the CEO of NAMM because I would love to hear his thoughts. All right, y'all. Peace out. Thank you. Subscribe if you're new. Peace.